Sanchez, would you like to get this show on the road? It's great. It's a great honor, and I'm really pleased that it's happening.
All yard. Harry. Others. Ready. Five. Oh, word. Art. Color, guard, oh. Ready, set, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor.
Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order. Colors. Ready. Five. Right. Face. Order. Colors. Oh, word. Arch. Color, guard, oh. Four, third, colors. Ready, five.
And now, rightfully so, Lieutenant Commander Sanchez would like a minute or two to tell us about what all they have accomplished, which we probably know. You want to use this mic or you want to? Okay.
use
all
it.
right.
Want to have a moment of silence or a prayer?
Well, we can do that after.
We can do that after.
Commissioners Court, thank you for having me this morning. I'm Lieutenant Commander Luis Sanchez, the Senior Naval Science Instructor at Rockport Fulton High School, Navy JROTC. Of course, I'm retired U.S. Navy, 26 and a half years. I'm excited to be here this morning. Thank you for having me again. This is my former junior varsity color guard with one varsity color guard member. Recently, now they're my varsity color guard because my varsity color guard is graduating this year. So they've been promoted and one of them is going to continue on. So I don't know if y'all heard, but we've been doing some very good things. Recently, we returned from Navy Nationals in Florida. We did very well. We learned a lot. So we're continuing to do great things. Just recently, we for the second year in a row, we're a distinguished unit with academic honors. That's the third time in school history. The first time was the very first year of the schools program. And of course, the third time was this year, 2 years in a row, being last year and this year, second time with academic honors. The schools have been, the kids have been working really hard. We start in late July and the season is still going strong. The kids, unlike any other program, they work Monday through Saturday. So this last weekend, for instance, they volunteered at the flea market at one of the yacht clubs, just community service hours, and it's nonstop. So it's either drill meets or community service hours or color guards. So it's nonstop and continues with their schoolwork. So these kids, they're one of those, I want to say they don't receive credit for all their hard work, but it's, it's baseball or football or track. And, I was one of those jocks that was constantly, hey, good job, good football game, good baseball game, and I did 26 years, like I said, in the military. It's one of those programs that I wish I would have gotten involved with. I would have got promoted a lot sooner. But, I love these kids. This is my 4th year with them. I'll be starting my 5th year, hopefully next year. And I really take my hats off to these kids because they work really hard and they deserve everything they have coming to them. In the next few years, I hope to get more of them applying to more scholarships, more universities, and a lot more things because they really are intelligent. They really work hard, very athletic, and very street smart as well as book smart. And like I said, very athletic. So hopefully y'all guys will continue to support us as y'all have been. The community of Aransas County, Rockport, Fulton, and the surrounding communities have been great with us. And what else can I say? Just thank you for your continued support. I hope we can continue to come back and do this for y'all in the future. Thanks for having us.
And now we'll have their invocation.
Please join me as I pray. Again, Father, we're thankful for the blessings of this day, and these young people remind me of the great sacrifice that our military has made so that this country can remain strong. And we give them credit, and these leaders that are bringing up our young people along those lines. And Father, in this community, we have so much to be thankful for. And we pray for these commissioners as they conduct the business of this county. And I know that they seek your wisdom and your knowledge as they make decisions. And your word says in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And so I pray for these commissioners as they conduct the business of this county, that they would listen for your word. They would listen for your voice to tell them how they should direct and lead this county. And we trust you, Lord. You've carried us this far from Harvey, and you'll continue to carry us into the future. We trust you, and we pray this in your name. Amen.
Commander Sanchez, thank you very much for all you do for the community, and thank you. The young people that are in your organization are quite an asset to the county. Thank you. All right, we have a citizens be heard, and we do have. Oh, yes. How about that?
Commissioner Castellano.
Here.
Commissioner Russo.
Here.
Commissioner Lava.
Here.
Judge Mills.
Here, and we do have a quorum, and I do have something else to say that item number 9 on the agenda will be struck. We will not be discussing that this morning. All right, now we do have a citizens to be heard, and I believe Mr. Hatman's ready, so come on up. And I think I've heard this one, or some of it, but
Good morning.
howdy.
I'll try to be very brief. I'm here with the Historical Commission. I'm the treasurer, but I'm speaking as an individual who lives out on Loop 1781. As Judge Mills and I've talked offline sometimes. That road is an atrocious road between Airport Park and Airport Road. We're driving down that road. We have to drive the center line, we have to cross the road because of some of the potholes that are in it. And if this thing doesn't get fixed in a fairly quick time frame, somebody's going to have a bad accident out there. The speed limit's 55 on that road. People are driving above those speeds going down through there. And if people are driving that center line and they're on the wrong side of the road because they're trying to avoid potholes, it's going to be an accident. So I encourage the county. I know it's a city road, but I've been told, because I started complaining vociferously about this in 2019. I started with J.D. Villa. He's actually the city councilor for that area. And then he did some investigation, and I gather that the county has taken responsibility for the road. So I'd encourage the commissioners to please talk to your road guy, get this road fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hatman. And yes, sir, we are looking into get that fixed as soon as possible. We have a presentation this morning, update for the Commissioner's Court regarding Hurricane Harvey insurance claims and construction project. with Kathleen Hicks. Ms. Hicks, please,
Yes,
you
sir.
have 15 minutes, and then if there's any questions from the commissioners due to timing and everything, we again add another 15 minutes to that so we can go on with other business that be waiting. All right, Ms. Hicks.
Well, good morning. I'm pleased to be here and hope that we get some good information from this and that we continue to work together and bring additional information to you and work together as we're finishing out these projects. Aransas County Hurricane Harvey, we all know the date it happened, and the most exciting thing that's happened so far is the groundbreaking that happened a couple of weeks ago. So we started off with that. Thank you. So the original courthouse, the building coverage purchased, which was the correct amount of coverage purchased at the time. We always have to say that. We actually had the value had been appraised by an outside firm, and they came up with $4,355,000. So that's the amount of coverage that was purchased on the courthouse. And then the contents coverage of $552,500. And then in addition to that, we had demolition and remediation at the courthouse for $1,372,294.56. And that's when, I think y'all probably remember when the judge took I don't think it's a backhoe, it's a backhoe, and started taking that building down. So the temporary courthouse got constructed very quickly. It was ready to be occupied by the end of January, about 5 months after the storm. The amount that North Star invoiced for the temporary courthouse is $5,057, $5 million. Thank you, son. $5,057,807. The temporary courthouse lease was paid for 3 years at a total of $338,332. And then the courthouse replaced contents at $1,787,538.25. And that was at the very early part of after storm. I'll just have to say for anyone that's in the room that doesn't know, when the courthouse went down, one of our biggest concerns is always, how are you going to get temporary facilities that are large enough to have a courtroom and to house everything that has to be done? Obviously, many people would go in and possibly, you can't get a portable building large enough. We would have had to build buildings to accommodate the courthouse. Judge Mills was aware of this facility here being empty and available. And so with that in mind, we all jumped on it immediately to get this facility leased. So as much of the county's business that was possible could take place at one time. Now, when we talk about the value of the courthouse as being rebuilt, it's really important to keep your mind on what it costs just to build out the interior of this building. So when we have adjusters and building consultants who originally came in for less money than it cost to build out the inside of this building, and have slowly increased that number. But we're not nearly where we want to be yet, although we think that we have the crews here to make that happen. Okay, so would you take that slide back and see if there was anything else that I wanted to say on that? Oh, this is the big part. Jay has held an estimated the replacement cost, and it's at
Excuse me, Kathleen, can you speak into the microphone so people
Yes,
at home can
ma'am.
hear you? Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yes. So it was like $6.6 million.
we knew that that was too low, and we hired an expert on courthouses and public buildings by the name of Thomas Montalto. He did an excellent job. He put a report together that is an expert report regarding light, quality, and kind, cost and code analysis, and the reasonableness of the materials selected for the new courthouse. And his findings, there's very detailed findings through the whole report, but his findings were that Aransas County team has been responsible with their resources and prudent in their design ambitions. One of the first things we were hearing from the adjusters and the building consultants was that when you look at the drawing of the new courthouse, it's very different than the courthouse that was destroyed. And they're just looking at that and saying, oh, well, you're increasing the type construction, you're going back with a lot of things that you did not have before. And we get to go back with things we didn't have before because of our coverage that picks up the cost of the additional codes and additional laws that might impact the size of the courtrooms that we need and the size of the courthouse that we have to have. So all of those things Thomas reviewed and did a report. And we're going to be reaching out and asking, the county. I've talked to John, and he's reaching out to some folks at the CMA for the courthouse for us to go back and hit Engel Martin and J.S. Held on the estimate that they gave and say, well, we have a bid. So you don't get to estimate the damage when you have an actual bid. You have to take that bid. It was the most competitive bid. We have an expert that said everything was very reasonable. Again, he went through and he decided actually that all but about 8,000 square feet of the building would be considered replacing the old courthouse with current like quality, kind, and the new codes and laws that are in place. We may need some help with from Jennifer in helping with the drill down on the exact laws that impact the size of the courtrooms and all of that. But with what she knows and John and the CMA and the contractors, we can eliminate the things that they're trying not to pay the county for by just going through and prove. And I think we can do that very quickly because your courthouse wasn't planned overnight, and a lot of people put a lot of time. And Judge, am I running out of time yet? So anyway, we have a great crew, and we can while Chris McCoy is out of the country on vacation, we can work and be ready for him when he gets back with our correct numbers. Okay. So the detention center, we're so thrilled that we now have a new roof that is just almost totally completed. We had to fight for that roof for over 4 years. We had the adjusters here numerous times. We had so many engineers come that they would look at it and they say, yeah, you really need a new roof, but they were not willing to put their name on the line and take the possibility of ending up in some kind of contested court case or something because they said they're too small, they can't afford those kind of costs. So we we've utilized mechanical engineers inside the courthouse because we've had humidity problems there ever since the storm. With this roof being complete very quickly, we'll have the mechanical engineers back out to test and be sure that we're not having humidity problems anymore. So we get a clean bill of health. And then we get all the money that has been spent inside the detention center, which is well over $1 million, and dealing with all of the issues and try and be sure that the jail, the detention center did not lose its ability to operate from the jail commission. So we hate that this took so long. Renee has been on that roof so many times. You can't even count it. I've been on that roof a lot of times too. And so we're quite thrilled that this has finally happened. Okay. Oh, and the stucco, repairing the stucco has been approved as well. Yes, sir, 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. So at the request of the county, so we're doing inspections so that we can determine exactly what it's going to take to finish work that has not been done, to identify any work that has to be done that has not been considered yet in the estimates from the building consultants. And Renee and FPS have those inspections scheduled. However, we postponed those, and they should get rescheduled soon. And these are the buildings: the courthouse annex, the public safety center, the library, the tax office, and the elections office. And I can see that other one. Okay. Okay. On the road and bridge, main office and sheds, all the work is complete at Road and Bridge. I spoke with David, and he said everything's great. He's happy with the way things are. Okay, so Tiger Field was one of our most, proud things. Pretty much immediately following the storm, the county had coverage on the concession stand, and because of the way that our policy is written, we had coverage for unnamed locations and lights and sporting facilities and that. So we were able to repair Tiger Field to the tune of about $650,000. So the airport has been interesting. Hangar Tall is almost complete, apart from finishing out the office space. We have a lot of the materials that are already on site. Have a bid to finish it out, and could be finished in 4 to 5 months. And I will discuss that with Judge Mills before we go forward on that. I do have people on standby ready to do it. Hangar T4, the erection cannot be done yet. The FAA permit expired March of 2021, March 18th, 2021. So we have to reapply for that. Mike is concerned it could take as much as 4 months to get it. And so we'll apply pretty immediately to get that going. We're hoping that it will be like it has been in the past and only take a couple of weeks to get it. But, I can't take credit for letting that permit expire. The contractor let that permit expire, and I didn't even know that we had to have a permit. But anyway, we'll get that going, and the foundation is ready to go. The metal is out there. The metal just needs to be hung on T4. We also have the metal on T1 and T2 at the airport as well. Now, in addition to those, we did some light replacements and the fences and gates and all that. You can go forward, Hunter. Okay, so this is some drawings of the aquarium at Rockport. Judge Mills and Commissioner Russo and John were all on the phone with the building department at Rockport, and that is moving along. The architect needs to get permission to go forward, and I think that I would like, if you are agreeable, I would like for him to come to Commissioner's Court and make the presentation, the full presentation of the drawings to Commissioner's Court, so that you can sign off, and then we'll ask the Navigation District to sign off. These are, yeah. Okay, so the airport board road building, AgriLife is pretty much complete. You know, again, we're going to check that to be sure everything's been done. The greenhouse has been completed and built, and the shade house was replaced by the master gardeners. The animal shelter work has been completed, transfer station. The shed still has to be built, and the roofs on the buildings out there are being replaced for a second time. Environmental health, the shed to be built at environmental health. Roads being replaced, roofs being replaced on buildings.
And if you,
Yes.
if you could go
Sorry.
and speak in the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the cost so far in Aransas County. NRS billed a total of $15,112,319.96.
What is NRS?
A North Star Recovery Services.
Thank you.
And that was for rebuilding, repairing. The remediation, which is when they came in immediately following the storm and mucked everything out and did all that emergency work. Those costs were $6,003,808.05. Now, all of those invoices have not yet been approved, but they have all been rendered to JS Hell and to Ingle Martin. Harvey payments made direct for Aransas County from RPA, and those would include like the Don Jackson invoices, $11,507,111.22. Then the contractor's billings and cost is $32,623,239.23. Now that's low with what it's going to actually end up being by the time we get everything replaced. Not even considering the courthouse, but that's a low number.
Kathleen,
Yes.
so the total contractor billings is the sum of those three figures.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that the end? Okay. We'd like to meet this week with the auditor's office and with Mike here and go through the loss of revenue formulas and review that, as well as some other things. And again, we want to work closely with Commissioners Court. You know, it's been a crazy ride, and the last year or so has just been very, very difficult and painful, but we're making progress and moving forward on the things that we need to move forward. And we will continue to fight, you know, for the county, you know, for every penny that you deserve. And, you know, I will say that your insurance coverage is broader than most people's insurance.
Kathleen, so what I'm trying to understand, more of a big picture question is, do you see any shortfalls? Are we up against any problems?
No, no, we're not. Now, we don't have all the, I mean, obviously we don't have the money in yet, and we have to, and so that's why we'll say.
You do the work and then you get.
Fighting with, yeah, we're not really fighting, but we have to continue, you know, to say, well, this is what the coverage is and this is what the cost is. So we have those. Our goal is to determine what it's going to take to finish this county, and then to take that number to the insurance carriers themselves.
That sounds like the number I'm interested in, money that we know is going to be spent, but that the insurance carrier has not yet approved.
That is correct.
What would that number look like?
Oh, I'm going to say probably $12 million.
And then I think you mentioned in the courthouse that they had
yes,
approved all but 8,000. So if the courthouse is going to be 47,000 square feet and they sort of deny 8 of that as, I guess, escalation, are you saying they would pay for 39,000 square feet of what we're going to build?
So that is what the architect that we hired, that is what he is saying, 8,000.
But the insurance company hasn't agreed to that yet.
They have not said that yet. And again, they're dealing with building consultants. They're not dealing with architects.
How much of the $23 million, I think, budget for the courthouse is covered by insurance?
So it's going to be covered, except for those things that are considered improvements and betterments,
So-
not the code changes, you know.
So if our arguments are successful, we will have insurance coverage for 39,000 out of
That
47,000
is correct.
square
And I
feet.
think that number bangs up there around $19 million. Is that right? It is. Yeah. So we're at 9.3 million now. And again, they did that pretty rapidly. We
Do we use up some of the 19 million coverage in the cost of fitting out this space, or is that a completely
No,
separate?
no,
number?
and that's totally separate. And see that again, it's such a positive thing for you all and for the taxpayers, you know, and I know I have to say the coverage you bought is probably some of the broadest you could ever get. Normally you'd have like $2.5 million in extra expense total. That'd be temporary facilities, you know, your loss in revenue, your added cost of your employees. So usually that's the level that
So-
you have.
Well, I think part of what I'm trying to understand is we borrowed a lot of money to rebuild the courthouse. And I'm trying to understand how much of that is actually going to be refunded by insurance.
So as it's what is going to be refunded is the number that we, with the help of the experts, that we can get to say, this is our number. You cannot, there's nothing you can do to change this number. And again, with the architect, you know, he is estimating that that's going to be somewhere in that area, you know, 18, 19 million dollars. So
So
we
you
will,
see a
so
like-
the county will get that.
So you see a likelihood that we'll receive insurance proceeds that'll cut down the amount we would need to use
Absolutely.
from our borrowed funds.
Absolutely.
But Kathleen, I
Yes,
think
sir.
I'm hearing you're saying the 9 million that they admitted that we're owed somewhere between 9 and 19. We really don't have a clue yet until you come to agreement with the insurance carriers, right?
Well, they've already said 9.3, which they did last week, Judge. Week before last?
9.5, yes.
Right, 9.5, thank you. So they've already agreed to that. From there, we just continue to go up and
Somewhere
we'll go up.
between 9.3 and 19, hopefully
Yes,
closer
sir.
to the 19.
The insurance is for the cost of rebuilding 27,000 square foot building today, right?
That is correct.
28,000 square feet.
Which,
Unless
because
it can be,
Which the cost of building today is about $570 a square
that is
foot.
correct.
but I thought I understood you to say that there were arguments under which the insurance company would be responsible for more than 27,000 square feet if we could establish that codes required us to
are.
expand.
They are responsible for whatever that additional square footage is. I think that's what.
That's what I was
Judge
trying to
saying.
imply, that the building would cost, you know, I think, well, you're talking about a good estimate. Well, the best estimate I can see is what the Teal Construction gave us, which is $23 million. So, you know, that's a pretty
Right.
good figure.
And there are some things there that probably, and maybe not, you know, there wouldn't be anything better if we could find nothing that could be rolled out. But I think there will be something in there off the 24. But again, we have no idea what that'll be. And we're going to push just as hard as we can to get every penny.
Ms. Hicks, I got to say, I respect you and your company immensely, and I know how hard you've been working, but it's been 4 years, 8 months, and 2 weeks, and the people of Aransas County, and I know I am to the end of my rope, and we need to get things going and need to get going quickly.
Yes, sir. Totally understand that. And Judge, if we hadn't had COVID and if we hadn't had the winter storm, I believe we would have been farther along. The reason that impacted us is not that it impacted our properties or anything, but it's the amount of claims people in the industry that respond to these kind of claims. And they're just, you know, they say they're dropping out, you know, by the grows because they're exhausted. They're just all, you know, exhausted. They need to have, you know, they need to hire more. But that, you know, that has really had an impact, and that's had a negative impact on us with them not getting people here on site.
Yes, ma'am. And as far as you having to stand down, Kansas County's never told you to stand down, ever.
Well, okay, so I used the wrong word. Renee asked to cancel the inspection.
This inspection you wanted this last week.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's the only thing, but that's because we want to get our own estimator so we'll have apples to apples numbers. You're going to have an estimator. We're going to have an estimator and see if they come up with the same
Okay.
number. Is my idea. I don't know what the Commissioner's Court wants to do, but we'll find out later.
Do you feel there's anything the county is doing that's slowing you down,
No,
including last week's stand down of the inspection?
no. The county's doing, that did slow it down. You know, we would have been, a week sooner.
So up to a week ago, you don't think the county has ever done anything to slow you down?
Commissioner,
Anything we need to do differently, in other words? No?
I can't, that would be something that I would really have to give some thought. My focus is on not the county slowing anything down. It's the insurance, it's the insurance adjusters and the building consultants. And it has really drug it out a long time.
I'd like to clarify one thing, and that is that the walkthrough that was rescheduled from last week is not the first walkthrough. In
I
fact,
think we've had 4 or 5.
yes, that's correct.
Colin, how much time?
So do you think there's anything the county should have been doing differently with the contractors or the insurance companies, or anything that we need to start doing differently now?
What our goal is now, and what will help the most to move everything forward and complete, is for us to be able to identify the cost and as quickly as we can do it.
I'm asking if you want us to do something differently or think we should have done something differently in the past. No? Oh, everything okay?
It would be something that I have to really sit down and think. I don't think so.
Nothing you can think of today. Okay.
I have a question, maybe. There was an evaluation or inspection of several of our buildings' roofs done last August and September, and those reports were submitted to the county. And to my knowledge, until recently with the detention center's roof, have any of those other projects been completed?
We were told after those inspections were done that Don Jackson was the preferred contractor and he was handling those
I need to
buildings.
correct you. We have no preferred contractor. The county cannot have one.
That's okay. And but that is what Tony Jackson called and told us, because they replaced the vent at the extension office and they had not sealed the vent properly. And so that was one of the things that, came up in the reports. And it offended him. We didn't mean to offend anyone. It's just that these are things, and then to get it repaired so we're not having leaks. Now he said that they would go out and repair.
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying there is a problem with contractors that you think we need to fix or not?
So I can tell you that there are problems with a contractor I can't fix right now, and we're working on it.
Do you want action from us to fix a contractor problem?
It would be helpful to get support.
What does support mean?
Looking at the facts and, telling the contractor.
What do you want us to do exactly?
Okay. I would like for you to look at the numbers and to look at the promises that were made and the amount of time that was given to finish every one of the contracts, and it didn't happen, and no extensions, were requested.
And assuming that we have actually looked at all the facts and the money, what do you want us to do to fix a problem?
I
May
think
may I
honestly-
interject here? Because I really wasn't done yet with that. Because I'm not a contractor, but I have a little bit of experience with building. And to have roofs that were identified with problems, what was that, 6, 8 months ago? So have those problems been corrected is my question.
They have not, they can be.
Okay, but they have
Corrected.
not. So the situation was allowed to deteriorate by someone. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying we had the information or someone received this information, these inspection reports, but those roof problems have not been remedied to date.
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Wendy, go ahead.
And bearing that in mind, I think you were really close to getting the answer to the question I was looking for. And that is assuming that we have the facts at our disposal, what is it you would like us to do that we have not done?
I would like for you to encourage the contractor to do what they need to do.
You think we need to
Okay.
I
instruct the
think a
contractor?
letter,
All right, the time limit's up and but I need Jen to come in and give us a little legal advice on.
Can we indulge me for one more minute? She's nearly at the end of the sentence answering my question. What would you like us to do?
I think it would be advantageous if the county would ask this contractor to refund the money that he has had on deposit for a very long time on certain hangars at the airport.
How much?
Right now, it was 900,000. Right now, it is closer to 400,000 because he did do what we asked him to do last year and not pull off. We asked him not to pull off the job, to use the money that he had been paid for the metal and for a couple of 3 hangars that have not been rebuilt.
Okay, and aside for this 400,000, you don't have any things that you think we need to demand?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just clarify too, that contract is between RPA and the
That is
contractor,
correct.
correct? And the county is not a party to that contract.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hicks, for your presentation, and I'm sure we'll be visiting later on this week.
Thank you.
All right, under consent agenda item, we have 1, 2, 3, and of course, 2 of them have something to do with animal control. So,
The good thing.
and we love it. Thank you very much. Casey Stanford of Rowdy Maui on Austin Street has painted a mural, a mermaid mural that I recently went to see, and it's quite a sight. It's quite attractive. And donated the time and effort and her talent, and we now have it. Appreciate it very much. And Evan Drew donated $25. So thank you both. Do I have a motion?
Move
to
to,
approve consent agendas.
Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Russo. Roll call.
Mr. Cheney.
Aye.
Mr. Castro.
Aye.
Mr. Russo.
Aye.
Mr. Lava.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 5, make a motion to approve the first quarter 2022 report of the Historical Commission.
second,
Motion made and seconded twice. Take a choice. Ms. Dowles, I'm sorry. Come on up.
That's okay. Thank you very much. I just want to introduce Dave Hatman again. He is our treasurer, so I'll let him answer any questions you may have.
You got a lot of money, Dave?
I got the quick handoff there, so. Any questions on the?
Any questions for the report from the Commissioner
been-
Court? For the
Excuse me a moment.
Historical Commission?
I think we've got a budget of $10,000 and we've spent so far almost 1,100, 1,069. We have, looks like we've done one marker so far this year. Got 2 more to go.
Which was the marker?
Betty will have to answer that one.
EIP markers that we did at the old Pocono Causeway
Okay,
Bridge.
thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hetman or Ms. Stiles? Okay, thank you, and we do appreciate everything you do. Do I have a motion? Oh, I made
Yeah,
a
we
motion
did.
in a second. Do I? Roll call.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Casserly.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Phillips.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 6.
Move to approve the first quarter 2022 report from the Rockport Cultural Arts District.
Second.
Again, we do have time limits.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer Day, Executive Director of the Rockport Cultural Arts District. And I want to recognize Ms. Pam Hurd, who's also on our board, County Liaison. Okay, I'll go quickly through this, respectful of your time. We're one of 51 cultural arts districts in the state of Texas. We're the first on the coastal bend. We have our 5-year strategic planning plan. One of our major projects right now is the Rockport Railroad Depot, restoration of the depot. These pictures are pretty stark comparison to each other. This was just right after Harvey. And we've actually, the picture on your left now has a door and transoms around it. But I wanted to give a brief review of the accomplishments that we have made over the past 4 years. We have started doing some major transformations for the museum. This layout you see, it's 10 foot long on one side, 6 foot long on the other side. It's been donated to the depot. It has a running train that runs through it. We actually had to cut it in 2 parts to get it here. Now we have to get it back together.
Did you say it had a train that ran through it?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, it's not a circular, but it does go from one side to the other. So we have been getting a tremendous amount of specific San Antonio Aransas Pass artifacts, which are very rare, very hard to find, but we have different, we have a national chapter, the National Railway Association, their Gulf Coast chapter has donated this brass plaque. We have a tremendous amount of things that we'll be showing you and open to the public here very, very soon. We've had a tremendous amount of support from various entities. Aransas County, as you see, is right up there at top. We continue to work in partnership with different groups. Here's the master gardeners that we're working on the landscaping, and of course with John Strothman with the parking lot. This next one's going to take a minute. I'm not sure. Let's see. There we go. Okay, this is a very important slide. It's called Passport to the Past. What this is an initiative that we're going to launch here on May 21st, 2 Saturdays from now. It features 4 historic venues in Aransas County: the Fulton Mansion, the History Center, the Rockport Depot, and the Texas Maritime Museum. This is a check-in venture for incoming or local individuals who want to go to each one of these historic, rich, historic, vibrant history of the Aransas County. They check in at each one of them, and the last one they check into, they get a small gift. So it's kind of a challenge, an adventure, and it's very, very educational. We think this is going to have a huge impact, primarily geared towards families and heritage preservationists. We're also going to have a soft opening again on the same day as the Passport to the Past, and that's going to be May 21st, which will be 2 Saturdays from now. I think you'll be very, very pleased with the interior and again, the amount of artifacts that we have gotten. When you consider that we acquired this May 26th of last year, and we're going to open May 21st, less than a year with all the renovations we've done, exterior, all the funding required to have those done, I think you'll be pretty impressed. We're very, very pleased with it. We're still working the cultural interface project with our famous Mr. Steve Russell, and that is in partnership with the Aransas County Navigation District. This is the Native American series. The European series has been at the Foundry and is being bronzed, takes quite some time for that to happen. They've had slowdowns as well because of COVID and the resulting economy. But this is his Native American series. Very, very impressive. It's 9 foot tall, and this is the male. I'm going to kind of skip through some of these other initiatives. This is a very important initiative. This is an art calling symposium that will be this June. It'll be 3 days. The Rockport Cultural Arts District is sponsoring this, and it will include events at the Fulton Mansion, the History Center, the Railroad Depot, and the Texas Maritime Museum. It will have keynote speakers. Bill and Linda Reeves are the top art historian experts in the state, and it's sponsored by HEB, and we'll also have Fairfield and Hampton Inn being contributing hotels. And along with that, the story of the Rockport Fulton Art Colony, how it became a coastal Texas town, became an art enclave. So Kay Betts is on our advisory board. She's been on the board of the History Center as well as Vicki Moon Merchant. This is their book. It was just published by the Texas A&M University Press. It showcases the 74-year-old Rockport Fulton Art Colony history, which is absolutely fabulous. It has artists that we have so many down here. And at the symposium, we'll have these artists and book signing, and we'll also have, for those artists who have passed, we'll have their families there. So it's really going to be a very spectacular event, and the book proceeds benefit the History Center for Aransas County.
Jennifer, I have a quick question. I think this symposium is absolutely an excellent idea. How is that being promoted or marketed?
So far, right now, it's being done on social media, and we will. And it's also in it's in Texas Highways, and they've got that as a top pick for tourists. And we will continue to do a lot more from a social media standpoint.
Thank you.
We've continued to be the cohesive glue for the downtown merchants and having merchant meetings each month. We have a lot of very strong leaders downtown who are business owners, and it's very good to have all that collection. Part of a result of that, we've had second Saturdays. We actually had second Saturdays years ago. ARCAD sponsored those. They're back, and it includes farmers market, makers market, entertainment, Market on Main, which is the new kind of venue for artists, and that's by Alyssa Bakers on Main Street in Austin. So this is information for the March 2nd Saturday. I've also put the location. Commissioner Rousseau, you had asked for that, so I'd ask that.
No, I appreciate that. I just have one remark. Outside 75 miles is 66. Within 75 is 44, and that equals 110. So somewhere there's a.
Oops, sorry about that.
But it was good to see.
Small typo. Sorry about that.
Do you know which number is?
I'll have to look. I'm
But
sorry.
thank you for putting that information and those sources from which the visitors came.
Absolutely. Social media. We did launch Donica Live. If you haven't caught that yet, it's pretty fun and comical. We've got Donnie Garcia and Monica Clark on our board, and they are doing live Facebook on the spot features within the Cultural Arts District. They're quite comical. Here's our financials. If you have any questions there. I didn't bring my treasurer with me, but I'm going to take Betty's cue for next time. And thank you from the Cultural Arts District.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Sure.
And I'm very excited about coming down and seeing the train station with that
Mhm.
soft opening. But in the past, the Cultural Arts District had sponsored the kite festival this year.
Mhm.
The city took that over because I think y'all made the decision not to do that.
Mhm.
Can you explain why you made that decision?
Well, we had, obviously, we have a brick and mortar building that was in terrible repair. We needed to focus. And if you'll keep in mind that we have one paid person on the Cultural Arts District. If you look at other nonprofits in the area that have up to 7 people, there's only so much one person can do. And I will say for the Kite Festival, we held that 2 years with thousands and thousands of people attending. We did a very good job. But when I heard that the city was interested in taking that over, I went and sat down with Brittany and Elkins and gave her all of our contacts, gave her our big kite festival guy who comes in with the huge kites, basically helped set that whole structure up. Our job description, what an air box is, what all the safety, because safety is huge with the kite festival and those big kites. So basically we switched direction. We have a brick and mortar we have to take care of. And we do have plans for an awesome festival. I won't tell you what it is yet, but you'll enjoy it coming up.
All right, thank you. And I understand the Kite Festival was extremely successful again this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you for working with the city
Absolutely.
on that smooth transition.
Best thing for the community.
Jennifer,
Okay. Yes.
what time is the soft opening going to be on the railroad depot?
We're going to be open from 1 to 4 on the 24th, on the 21st,
Okay.
which is 2 Saturdays from now. And we'll be open every Saturday from 1 to 4
Okay.
after that date.
All right.
We'll have a grand opening. We're trying to align that with the parking lot ribbon cutting.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer, for all you do.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item number 7.
Move to approve Proclamation P052022, recognizing the month of May as Trauma Awareness Month and May 19th, 2022 as Stop the Bleed Day.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
All right, Proclamation P05 2022, recognizing the month of May as Trauma Awareness Month and May 19th, 2022 as Stop the Bleed Day. Whereas in a medical emergency, a seriously injured adult or child can bleed to death in just 2 to 5 minutes. Whereas rapid decision-making and controlling blood loss at the scene of an incident can mean the difference between life and death. Whereas Stop the Bleed training can help educate the public on controlling blood loss and save lives in the process. In fact, effective bleeding control can prevent at least 20% of trauma deaths each year. Whereas on this day, we join Governor Greg Abbott in commending the many organizations who have partnered together to promote Stop the Bleed initiatives and teach the necessary skills to provide immediate bleeding control to victims at the scene of an emergency. And whereas on this day, Aransas County Commissioners would like to give a special thank you to Gavin Harrison with the Aransas County Sheriff's Office, Patricia Arnold with the Aransas County Medical Services, Inc., the Aransas County Courthouse for providing Stop the Bleed training through the ACSO and ACMSI, Aransas County Independent School District for being proactive and providing district-wide training prior to Texas Education Agency requiring Stop the Bleed training in stations, Castaway Thrift Shop for providing a grant to help Stop the Bleed kits, to help supply Stop the Bleed kits to ACISD, and Lamar Volunteer Fire Department for using a tourniquet to save a life and to provide Stop the Bleed training to the Lamar community provided by ACMSI. Allegiance EMS and our local law enforcement all carry tourniquets to assist those in need. Now, therefore, Judge C.H. Burt Mills Jr. and the Aransas County Commissioners Court do hereby proclaim the month of May as Trauma Awareness Month and May 19th, 2022 as Stop the Bleed Day and call upon the people of Aransas County in recognizing and participating in this special observance.
And I would like to notice that Patricia Arno with ACMSI is here and also
I would
Tim?
like to do that too, and I'd like a photo op also.
all right.
but I'd do that
Great.
right after the vote, if you don't mind.
So I have the Assistant Chief, Tim Dorn here with the Lamar Volunteer Fire Department and Gavin Harrison as well. But Lamar Volunteer Fire Department was able to apply a tourniquet and save a life after this training. So I really appreciate them stepping forward and doing what they do.
Hold on just a minute for a photo op. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Aye. Commissioner Lawball.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Down here, there.
Can you get us, some of us are up here and
Yeah.
He's a very interesting gentleman.
All right, great. All right, number 8.
I move to approve. Go ahead.
I move to approve order 011-2022 in order to close, abandon, and vacate the 20-foot wide alleyway lying in block 322 of the Manning Edition, Aransas County, Texas, recorded in volume 1, page 7 of the plat records of Aransas County, Texas, and be more particularly described by meets and bounds on exhibit A and B attached to the petition.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Lawbach. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawball.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 9 struck. Item 10.
I move to adopt Resolution R-09-2022 of the Commissioners Court of Aransas County, Texas, committing local matching funds in the amount of $16,202.37 for the airport field lighting generator project for the purchase of a generator, automatic transfer switch, and external connect box to provide backup power for runway lighting in the event of interruption of electrical service, with 75% of the project being funded by a subaward through the Texas Department of Emergency Management's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program 4332, Hurricane Harvey, under the Federal Emergency Management Agency project number DR-4332-0197, authorizing the county judge to execute necessary documents, providing for severance and invalid provisions, and confirming compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
I second.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Russo. And Commissioner Lawbach, I hope you didn't have to take too many breaths to make that motion.
It's a long one.
Any
Where does the
discussion?
money come from, John?
Let's first, the grant falls under the Senate Bill 7 bill. So the grant, the actual match will be $4,020. And then Mike here says he has it in his funds.
The actual grant, Commissioner Laubach, is a Texas Emergency Management. It's one of their, is it a mitigation or is it?
It's a mitigation,
mitigation?
404.
And it's a 75-25.
Yeah, I just meant where does our piece come from?
Our piece will come
Mike's
from.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I thought it was. Any other question? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawball.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item number 11.
Move to accept subaward grant from the Texas Department of Emergency Management through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program 4332 Hurricane Harvey under FEMA project number DR 4332-0197 in the amount of $48,607.13, which will cover 75% of the cost of purchase of an airport field light generator, with the remaining 25% being paid by the county as local match funds for service interrupted.
Due to natural heritage.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion?
Okay, so 10 and 11 go together and the only cost under 11 has already been covered by
Correct.
item 10.
Correct.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 12.
Approve entering into a construction contract for fire protection facilities and equipment for the Rockport Volunteer Fire Department Radio Tower Project between Aransas County, Texas and Allstate Tower, Inc. from Henderson, Kentucky, for the construction of a radio tower and other improvements on the property leased from the city of Rockport by Aransas County, located at 130A State Road 188 in Rockport, Texas, for the amount of $422,742, funded with grant funds administered by the Texas General Land Office and allocated to Aransas County in Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, contract number 200650980C270, with work to be completed within 1 year.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second, Commissioner Cheney.
No, as I understand, we approved the award of this bid at several meetings ago, and all
Yeah.
we're doing today is approving the form of contract, entering into the final form.
Well,
of contract.
I think it's just getting the paperwork right.
I'd just like to make a comment that it says Rockport Volunteer Fire Department. It is also for all first responders.
Aransas County, the grant's written as that, but it's for all the emergency services.
Commissioner, this is a redo item. The previous agenda item language we didn't feel was sufficient to satisfy our granting agency. So we brought it back before you today with everything in the kitchen sink in the agenda item with the hope that everyone will be satisfied.
Thanks.
Okay.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous. Item 13.
I move to approve entering into a partial assignment and assumption agreement between Rockport Harvey Housing LLC, Pearl Point, Rockport One LLC in Aransas County, which will result in Rockport Harvey Housing LLC assigning its rights, duties, and obligations under the October 29th, 2018, Chapter 381 Economic Development Agreement for Phase 1 area of the development to Pearl Point One LLC.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney or Laubach, either one.
I think Jack was first.
I have a question. We have no documentation to go along with this, but we're going to agree to enter into an agreement.
We do have the
I
documentation.
think it's a separate, let's see.
So
It came
Or Jackie.
separately from but we had it.
But there's a delay with my microphone coming on. I apologize. We do have documentation in the form of an assignment document. It was sent to us through Rockport Harvey Housing's attorney. I did make some revisions and those revisions have been accepted. It was done Friday. I'm not sure. It should be in your packet.
It was in our boxes, but at least it was in my box, but it was separate from the regular clipped together package. Did you not
No.
get yours, Pam?
No, I did not.
It should have been emailed to you and put in your box. I apologize for that. It wasn't done until kind of late in the day on Friday. But we did come to agreement on the language and I did feel comfortable with what we ended up with.
I did not get a copy and I did come in early Friday morning and picked up my packet because I had surgery on Friday. And if I received the email, I certainly didn't find it.
Do you need more time to look at it, Pat? And
I haven't looked at it at all.
So, I mean, is there a timing issue if we
I think
table this so that Commissioner Rousseau can look at it?
I do believe that there is a timing issue for the seller and the buyer on this project. I do understand your concern with not having had the chance to review it. And I apologize for that not making its way to you. If any Does anybody in the Commissioners Court have a copy of that
I
printed?
do. It's quite short, but I mean, it's not a good time to ask her
No,
to
it's
read
not.
even 4 or 5 pages quickly.
I understand. I'm thinking if it pleases the court, you could go ahead and take a vote if she'd like to abstain because she hasn't had the chance to review. Then that, of course, is an option. Otherwise, you could change your motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Against?
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. 4-4, 1 against.
And I would like to say that I may have voted for it, but since I have not seen the document, I will not vote for it.
Okay. Item 14.
Move to approve the issuance of a request for qualifications for a company to provide professional services, including construction estimates to evaluate the county's facilities damaged by Hurricane Harvey and provide estimates on the cost of remaining repairs and or reconstruction.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. Any discussion?
Yeah, does this follow what Ms. Hicks? Is that what we were talking about?
That's what we were talking about as far as the county. We want to make sure that the estimates we get are apples to apples. So I can only see one way of doing that, and that was for us to have our own estimator and them to have one. And if they come up with the same number, everybody's happy.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Any other discussion?
I mean, we just received a long report from Ms. Hicks. I guess I'm still not understanding what we need to do that she is not doing.
Commissioner, right now, the way that it works is that the claims are sent from RPA to Ingle Martin, which is the claims adjuster for the insurance companies. There's a second company that works for the insurance companies, JS Held, that reviews those claims for reasonableness. At this time, the claims are prepared by RPA with the assistance of FPS Recovery Services, Inc., which is an estimating company and also a contractor, construction contractor. This has taken a long time, as the judge pointed out earlier. So staff and Judge Mills visited, and we thought that perhaps the Commissioners Court would like to engage an estimator that's separate and apart from FPS and JS Held. So we have a better opportunity to give as many numbers as possible to the insurance company. So there's less time taken to argue about which estimate is the best. Perhaps the insurance company will find it more compelling if the numbers are close, or take an average of the two and accept claims and move forward with the process.
Do we have any kind of estimate what this might cost to
We
hire?
don't at this time because we don't have a way at the moment to define what the scope would be. We would be issuing a request for qualifications, and we would be asking estimators who provide their qualifications to give us an opportunity to review them. And then we would engage with whoever the Commissioners Court chooses to and finds the most qualified and set up the scope then and have an idea of what the budget would be. Of course, it would be up to the court to decide how much money should be spent on this endeavor.
I think this is a good idea because there's been some issues in as complex as this issue is. We have basically turned it over to Regional Pool Alliance to kind of act as a go-between, but we haven't been giving any assurances of sort that would say that that what they're coming up with is in our best interest. I'm not saying anything's wrong or anything with it, but we got an awful lot of money out there hanging that we have not been able to get that we should be getting or should have already gotten by now. So I think this is a good idea.
What kind of money is it they're out there that we should have been getting but have not gotten already?
You know, and Commissioner Laubach, I think that is an excellent question because that's my question.
I think the Commissioners Court asked Ms. Hicks that earlier, and she did not offer a solid answer on that just yet. But I think if you do the math on the claims, that numbers that she gave us in her presentation, that there's approximately $21 million that is still outstanding from claims that they have received and submitted to the insurance companies. And that does not include any amount of money that will be due for the new courthouse construction.
I guess it would be fair to say if we get a consultant to look at this for us, we might be able to get a better handle on that up to $20 million.
I have a concern in that will go through the process, which is a fine process, but it certainly will delay any further action being taken. And I have glanced through this report that we received, I think yesterday. I received it yesterday evening from VG Architects. I believe the gentleman was Mark Verrett, who is the fellow who did the design on the aquarium and went through the different sites and has provided summary and documentation and photos to back up.
Commissioner, I don't believe that any of us have been made privy to that report.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I have.
How did you get it? I've never seen it.
It came by email yesterday and I reviewed it at home, but I asked Tracy this morning if she could print it out for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
It's a 39-page report.
I don't think anyone received it except for you, Commissioner.
Well, I guess that makes up for the fact that I didn't get the other report that everybody else got.
One of these days we'll get it straight where everybody gets
That would be
everything.
good.
But
That
I'm
would
not,
be good.
did that come from Kathleen Hicks? Perhaps?
sorry?
Was that
Did you,
from
were you
Kathleen?
given that report by Kathleen Hicks?
It would come either from Kathleen Hicks or from Mark Verrett because she asked him to send it. I don't know who Mark Verrett is, to tell you the truth. I just know that's the name.
She asked him to send it to you?
I'd have to look at my email to see who all it went to.
Well, I'm glad that you've received it and we look forward to reviewing that after the meeting, of course. But that would absolutely help, I would think, speeding up this process with claims. It still might be something the Commissioner's Court desires, however, to have a third-party estimator take a look at that. And I think we can do this process pretty quickly. With a request for qualifications, we would just go through and look at them and bring the top candidates to the Commissioner's Court to choose one. And then we would move forward and have them look at what reports we have available. Perhaps they wouldn't have to redo every inspection, but inspect the projects that are remaining. That's really what we're focused on.
I think I would like to table this until everyone on the Commissioner's Court had a chance to look at it, and we could consider this at our next meeting.
If you'd like to, but if it pleases the Commissioner's Court, we could go ahead and issue a request for qualifications. And if the Commissioner's Court decides not to move forward with that, then we can always announce that we're canceling that process. But this would give us an opportunity to prepare a request and work toward getting it ready for sending out, just in case you do decide, so we can do it faster.
I think that would be a little bit more expedient than if we table it and then look at thing come back in the next meeting or a couple of meetings from now. With things, my concern is this, and I don't have any real knowledge of Miss Hicks and what she's done, but there seems to be a lot of questions that are just not getting answered, is what it appears to me like. And I may be looking at this all wrong, but I think we need an independent. I think we should have had an independent one from the very beginning to at least look at it as we go through, at least a processor.
Okay, let's call a question.
Call a question.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleton.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Against?
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. 4-4, 1 against. Item 14, 15, I'm sorry.
I have a little bit of an issue with this before we make a motion on it. But I move that we table this item.
We can't discuss it until
I'm
we
making a
get a
motion.
motion.
Yeah, I'm making a motion. Yeah.
Can you move to table it before we make the motion?
Well,
Jen?
that'll be my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, the reason I wanted to table that is I think this is already in process. I think we already have this done. I think it just has been a matter of not having enough personnel to be able to follow up with what we need to do with all of the statutes, requirements, and contracts that we have going. Aransas County is a large entity that does a lot of stuff, and we don't really have a person or a receiving point where everything goes through and is not only looked at. Well, of course, the attorneys look at it, but it's followed up on, because the attorneys they can't look at everything and follow up on it at the same time, because there's numerous reports and things that we should be receiving that we're not. Or if we're not receiving them, we're not receiving them in a timely manner. So that's my purpose.
I agree with Commissioner Cheney.
Motion been made and seconded. My only comment would be that, you know, there's entities and other people out there that have known or do know that they're supposed to report to the Commissioner's Court. And I'm going to be the first to admit that I didn't know until recently. That's why I've decided that maybe it's time to ask them to report to the Commissioner's Court in the reason, as they should do every year.
After visiting with the county's attorney, I understand that this stuff has been there a long time. It just is for amount of having somebody to look at it and keep up with it, that we've been remiss in requiring that. And I don't think it's anybody's fault, except that we just don't have enough people to do the
Ms.
job.
Holstein?
The idea behind this really is just to give everyone a gentle reminder that if you have a contractual or statutory relationship with the Commissioner's Court, there very well may be an obligation to submit reports at least annually, sometimes quarterly or more frequently. And that you please take a look at your own documents and figure out what your requirements are and start voluntarily complying, because it'll make life easier for you and for us. But of course, we will be going through and reviewing just as many things as we can and start making a list of what reporting is required and from whom and how frequently. That will be a project we take on.
I don't think this is a gentle request. I think this is draconian in nature. And I'd like to call the question, please.
Motion, call the question.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castleline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Locke.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye.
Before we move on, I just would like to mention, I just pulled up on my phone, and this inspection report did come from Kathleen. She sent it on May 8th, which was, I think, yesterday at 2:20. She sent it to Judge Mills, Jack Cheney, Commissioner Castro, myself, Ms. Laubach.
Oh, it came to me too? I
When
didn't.
I look at the details, that shows to whom all of the people received, it, which is why I just wanted to make sure, because usually anything I receive, I immediately forward onto the judge and to the assistant county attorney. So,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16.
Yeah, item 16.
I move to approve adoption of the Aransas County environmental policy to acknowledge the county's environmental responsibility as a recipient and subrecipient of grant funds, and to designate the county judge as certifying official for the county.
I'll second that.
I got a lot of questions about this one, so I'm hoping to try to clarify it today. As I understand it, we're not talking about a county-wide environmental policy for how to deal with the whole county. We're talking about how to respond to a specific requirement in each grant that we do either an environmental assessment or an environmental impact statement for that specific piece of real estate, which sometimes involves environmental issues, sometimes archaeological issues, all that laundry list of things that the EPA makes people do. So we're not adopting or changing in any way our general attitude towards the environment of the county. We're just telling the grant agencies that we undertake to do the assessments or impact statements that we're required to do for each specific piece of real estate covered by a grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That is exactly what this is. In the past, the grant administrators or the entity themselves, the granting entity, would make sure that all this is done. What we're saying is we will make sure that it is done.
And who is going to perform that role for us, and what will the cost impact be for the county? Because we're taking on this role now.
Well, but
We've
it's
always
not
done
any,
it.
No, GLO has done it.
No, the
it's
GLO
nothing
would
new.
goose us to do it. We still had to do the work, right? We always hire a
Yes, ma'am.
consultant.
We have, if we use GrantWorks has their own environmental person. It is in the grant, in the administration already. If we have had to hire other environmentalists, we've always had to do this. We are just now saying We know we have to do it. We're responsible for it. And
We won't wait for them to tell us, we'll
right,
undertake it.
exactly.
If you remember with the Workforce Training Center, we had to hire somebody to do an environmental impact statement for the underground gas tanks across the street. Every time we do a grant where we're going to build something on real estate, we have to do some kind of assessment. And we don't usually do it in-house. We usually hire
Yes,
an
ma'am. We
environmental
don't
consultant of some
do them
kind.
in-house. I mean, they have to be a professional.
But they get paid for by the grant.
Yes, yes.
In that case, I think the seller did because we didn't own it yet, but normally we pay for it. Yeah. So this is something we've always done. The only thing that's changing is we undertook to the granting agent, to the GLO. We wouldn't wait until they told us to do it. We would just say, we already know we have to do it. Every time we have a grant, we'll do it.
Yes, and there's a form that needs to be in the grant documents, and it would be, we're stating here, our commissioners are stating that the county judge has the authority to sign that saying, yes, we know, and we will do that.
Just, it expedites it.
Yes.
Thank you, Jackie, for that explanation.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Miller.
Aye, unanimous.
I move to approve the April 2022 indigent healthcare report.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner
Commissioners?
Cheney.
Just one correction on the last item. I wanted to check with the county clerk that you did in fact make a motion to approve that policy in a second.
I'll make
I
a
don't
motion
remember.
to approve it.
You did.
Yeah.
I made the motion.
Oh, I thought you did.
16 was approved.
And somebody seconded it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Commissioner
made,
Castro made the motion and Commissioner Cheney seconded.
Yes.
And
Okay,
it was voted on unanimously.
thank you.
Yeah, I heard. I'm just.
Okay.
It didn't come through.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Castellane, second Commissioner Cheney on item 17. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Miller.
Aye. Unanimous. Item 18.
I move to approve the April 2022 auditor's monthly report.
I second that.
Motion made and second Commissioner Russo. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lava.
Aye.
Judge Miller.
Aye. Item 19.
I move to approve paying up to $14,500 of the cost of a 6-month-long study to be conducted by Mission Aransas National Estuarine Research Reserve for water quality sampling and evaluation for possible contaminants in the Port Bay area near Highway 188, with the Aransas County Navigation District paying the remaining $14,500 cost.
Second.
Motion made and second Commissioner Lawbach.
This
I have
sounds
a
like something the
question.
public is, sorry, I was going to say the public has really been asking for something like this, but at some point I hope somebody will tell us. I assume this would just have to come out of general funds.
Actually, Commissioner, we do have money that we get from GOMESA. It's called the Gulf of Mexico Energy Securities Act. And
We could take it out of there.
receive funds, and this would qualify for the use of those funds.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you, Commissioner Casterline.
I have an issue with this. It came up before. The same group that's been talked to about doing this has applied for a grant that they tell me they will have an answer on in August. And if they feel like they will be approved, and it will be funded in September, and the testing program will last as long as 2 years and be something like 3 times as much testing as what this is. I really think that we should not do this until they find out if they're going to get that grant. There's a short period of time between it, and the grant that they applied for is much more extensive than what this is.
I was privy to that conversation that Commissioner Castellane had.
This, when it's, you say more extensive, do you mean more kinds of tests run, different heavy metals and so forth?
I think it's similar tests, but it will go on for as long as about 2 years, with what Jace told me. And he still, I called him on Friday after I saw this on the agenda. He was still of the opinion that we should go for that before we did this
because
briefer study on.
If we do this, that might harm their chances of getting the other. I don't think there's anybody on this court that thinks that we don't need to do a study on this. One of the things I'm concerned about is if they go and they do find a bunch of stuff, we need to have a plan as to at least how to start to fix it if in fact it is hazardous. I think we really do need to get as extensive a study as we can, and that we should partner with folks that are trying to get this done and let them get theirs first so that they can kind of set a parameter of what it is that they feel that we need to look at.
And my assumption from talking to Jace is the study that you're talking about here will be done in the first go round of the grant study that they're applying for. And then there would be further, more of the same over as long as a couple of year period. So when they get their first, if they get the grant, when they get the first grant, they're going to have the same information that you're going to get in this one without paying for it.
Well, it's very interesting because I called Mr. Tunnell on Friday to let him know that this was on the agenda. He didn't need to come, but just that we were going to move forward on it. And he was very excited and very supportive. And he did not mention any of what you're saying.
Well,
I can't see any.
I called him after you called him, and he expressed to me that he was surprised that it was on it. And he still thought that we should let them go for the grant and do the more expensive.
That's fine. I wish he'd shared that with me and we could have saved ourselves this time.
Yes. As I said before, I was privy to the conversation that Commissioner Castleline had with Jace. So
he's genuinely worried that if we did this, it would affect his ability to get his grant.
I didn't ask him that question.
Because I can't see a good reason not to do both unless it's going to interfere.
He said that he felt like, just like he did at the meeting that he was here, that his preference would be that we waited and that they got the results, if they got the grant to do that study. And, and if they didn't, then you could do this. Then we could do this one.
Is this, are we, the guy Tunnell that you're talking about, is he from Missions Aransas National?
He's the executive director.
So we're talking about the same organization?
Yes. Same organization.
He's the gentleman who came and gave.
Oh, no, I understand. I can't understand why he would say it was okay and then not okay. And I can't understand why it would be a problem to do both. I mean, you're saying that he thinks it is a problem to do both, but that surprises.
He didn't tell me there was a problem to do both. He thought that we should wait until we got to see if they got the grant, and if they didn't, then we could proceed with this. He thought that
it sounds like either or.
What was going to be done in the larger grant was more beneficial to research in the area.
But doing something now is more beneficial than waiting until September. The public is pretty upset about this one. I mean, I've been pretty clear. I'm something of a skeptic on the issue, but I get more heated input on this one than almost anything else in the last year. It doesn't seem like a lot of money. We do have GOMESA funds, and I think a lot of people would really appreciate it if we started doing something now, even though there's a possibility more can be done later.
What's the NAV district's position on this?
Hi, I'm Judy Velasic. I'm a commissioner with the Navigation District. This is the first information that we've received that you shared with us, Commissioner Casterline. I think our position would be in line with Commissioner Laubach, which is our preference would be to go ahead and start testing as soon as possible. And we are more than willing to share that cost. And if we all are available, if we're all eligible for GOMESA funds, that's even better. But yes, depending on what you all decide, we are willing to share that cost with you. We think this is a good thing for us to co-sponsor. Any questions?
I would just say that I'd much rather do testing first, action plan later. I would hate to see us delaying testing until we can come up with an action plan. You need to know if there's contamination or not. I hope we'll find there isn't any.
Well, so do we.
Yeah. Then we can figure out if and when, if we need an action plan.
So let me get this straight before we go any further. If we were to do this today and go with Navigation District and they start testing next month, is that right?
That's what he had said. They could start in June and
so
finish
they'd
in
be testing
December.
and then they get a grant in August to start the same testing in September, but longer, right? Maybe.
So 2 years worth of testing or 2+ years starting now rather than waiting until September.
This is all contingent upon that organization entering into an agreement with the navigation district. So if this would interfere with with them receiving a different grant, then they could always just not move forward with that contract.
If it turns out that these plans are going to affect something else, we can come back in 2 weeks or 4 weeks and change our minds. But so far, it doesn't look like it's interfering in anything. And I think people want to see testing soon, not later.
All right.
Especially when we're not even sure the later testing will happen.
Call the question. Do you call the question?
Carrie.
Go ahead and do roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castleman,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye. Item 20.
I move to approve the budget line item transfers.
Second that.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castleman,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye.
I move to approve accounts payable and payroll liabilities.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney.
Anything unusual?
Well, we did purchase a grade all through the flood. That was one of the budgeted items, and it was $343,000. We also have $274,000 in our capital projects. Some are the parking lot. I couldn't think of it. And then we have some for the Celebration Plaza, the Workforce Center. There's Bayshore Drive. There's several projects that have had expenses on them, but those are all reimbursable.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castleman,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Lava,
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay, this is when any elected official or department head have anything they'd like to bring up, discuss with the court. Please stand up and do so.
I have something I, excuse me, like to read into the record. This is dated Friday, April 22nd, and it's from Mr. Craig Rose, who is a teacher, STEM, which is Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, Careers Program Lead at Judson High School. Good day, Judge Mills. This past Saturday, 4/19/22, Mike Gear conducted a tour of his airport for a group of my STEM students. The presentation and tour were highly edifying, had the students' attention, and during a post-trip meeting, several are considering aviation careers. I am a pilot and I have special appreciation for Mike's depth of knowledge and experience. Mr. Gear is a gifted and passionate presenter and an advocate for all things aviation and Aransas County. Perhaps more notable, he is an innovator and collaborator with ideas and successes. He is an innovator and collaborator with ideas and successes beyond the normal scope of airport management. We look forward to our next trip down and the opportunity for service that Mike is contemplating now. Please convey our most sincere appreciation to Mr. Gear and the staff at Aransas County Airport. And I think that was a job well done, Mike. And that group of students also visited the Texas Maritime Museum and were very pleased with what's going on there. So I am happy that Rockport, Fulton, Aransas County is serving as a model for other school districts in Texas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gear. Anything else? If not, we're going to go into closed session. Need a motion?
Yeah, were you,
Who's gonna make it?
I will move to ask the county attorney to draft up a press release to address the issues that we heard about today concerning the insurance situation and correspondence with with Ms. Hicks concerning the information that we need that we feel we have not yet received and setting a deadline.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Russo. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castro.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Lala.
Aye.
Judge Mills.
Aye, unanimous.
Move So-
to adjourn.
Second.
Made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are.